This morning was our monthly check-in with Milton Mayor Gord Krantz, and the hot topic right now, from the Prime Minister on down to municipal levels, is budgets. So Milton Town Council will be voting on the prospective budget a week from today at their next meeting. Over the past few years, Mayor Krantz has been critical of the council's support of municipal budgets that have soared above the rate of inflation. I asked if this year was following that same trend.
Well, Jason, I'm still on that same note, at least as present-day council, in my opinion, has been a bit of a spendthrift council as far as I'm concerned, and I've expressed that before. And of course, the upcoming budget, what's being recommended by staff is approximately 8%, I think to be exact, 7.94. So I'm going to round it off at 8%. And on the assumption that that 8% passes by the majority of council, I know it will not pass with my support, but if the pass is any indicator, it will pass by the majority of council support. It might add, Jason, that if this passed at 8%, it'll be pushing the 40% increase over the term of this council. In my opinion, that's exorbitant. And when I talk about that 40%, I think it'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 37 or 38%. But if you were to round it off with, compounding, it's probably in excess of 40%. So that's inexcusable as far as I'm concerned by any members of council. And of course, I'm every once in a while encouraged to use the strong mayor's power, but I've stayed away from that because the last thing that I want to be even perceived as being a dictator. And I know there's leadership that comes into the place as well, but the onus, in my opinion, is on the majority of council as to what they pass and don't pass. As an example, growing bureaucracies, believe it or not, in this new budget that's being proposed, there'll be an additional 15 to 19 additional full-time employees. Now, I'm going to round it off at roughly $100,000 per person, which may be a little high, but probably not much. But if you take into account pensions and clothing and holidays and all those things, I won't be far off. So if you talk, let's just round it off and say at 15 people, you're talking $1.5 million additional dollars just in personnel. And again, I've always been hesitant and reluctant to growing huge bureaucracy. So I'm still on that same page.
Now, of course, part of that may be, you have the population of Milton increasing, so you need more people in the municipal government in order to support that. But do you see places then, in your opinion, that things can be cut and, knock down this rate of inflation or tax for the budget? Do you see places where cuts can be made?
Yes, I can. Just as an example, and again, on the hiring thing, if we can save $1 million, and I'm well aware when you add additional roads and recreational stuff, you need people to operate them. But there's other areas there that I question whether they're needed or not there. And you hear other governments, as an example, we hear about the federal government cutting, people, the human resources. And in my opinion, this is one of the things that any government, I don't care what level it is, they keep growing and growing and growing with the bureaucracy. And that's what really adds to the bottom line on increasing tax. And it isn't just a one-time shot, it's forever.
Yeah, no doubt. They are added there, and those salaries just continue on through the years.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, well, let's talk. I already mentioned that Milton's growing, and our next two topics are just about that. We're going to talk development. We've got quite a few people upset about a potential new development, a redevelopment, actually, of 388 Main Street East, which is currently the Womb in Milton. Now, that'll be swallowed up into a series of 16 to 18-story buildings. Does this place and this location and the heights of these buildings fall into the town strategic plan?
At least in my opinion, it really doesn't. But I know, Jason, that the development community has a God-given right to ask for whatever they think is appropriate. And at least in my opinion, what they're asking for may not be appropriate. And I don't want to jeopardize the, the process that you have to go through on having a close look at it. Already what is permitted in that particular area would probably be redevelopment, as you had mentioned, permitting anywhere between 4 and 6 stories, in my opinion, would be appropriate. Now, is there a chance that it could go to 7 or 8? There's always that outside chance. And that'll be reviewed, of course, by the staff and, of course, with input from the residents in that area. No, and it's my understanding that they're not opposed to redevelopment, appropriate redevelopment in the area of those 4 to 6 stories. And I think that they would certainly buy into that as well. And the development community in this particular case owns a whole block in that area. So they have a fair bit of property to redevelop. And the redevelopment in that area is warranted as well, as far as I'm concerned.